6:30, we're going to call to order the Mandan Public School District May 1st meeting. First item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion or any changes?
Motion to approve the agenda.
All right, Mr. Uvestal's moved to approve the agenda. Do I get a second? Boy, I'm hearing seconds all over the place here. Ms. Vera seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none. Ms. Silva, please call roll.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes. Next item is public communications. Is there any public communications? Anybody want to speak to the board tonight? Seeing nobody jumping up and waving their hands, we'll move on to the next item. We're going to move around just a little bit. We're going to go to new business first because we have an individual here to do a presentation, and then we'll come back to the administrator's reports if that's okay with everybody. All right. So the first item then we'll do under new business is review and consider approval of the fiscal year 21 audit report from Higa Comer Limited. Mr. Legacy.
Yes, I'd like to introduce Linnell Usatis from Higa Comer. They're our auditing firm. We've finally completed our fiscal year 21 audit. Linnell will present on that, but before she does, I want to let you know that we are ready to move right into fiscal year 22. I'm hoping that we can have that finished up late summer is our plan, and then we'll be back on track with our financials.
All right, that sounds good. All right,
Great.
go ahead. I'll turn it over to you and
All right.
give us what you got.
As you said, my name is Linnell Usatis. I have completed the audit with Higa Comer here for June 30, 2021, and I'm just going to cover a few of the highlights. I believe you have the full PDF of the report in your packets there. We did issue a clean audit opinion. The auditor's letter is in our report on pages 2 through 4. We did also perform the federal audit as required for your federal funding in excess of $750,000. Last year, for 2021, the COVID relief grants were your major programs. Government-wide financials are on pages 5 and 6 of the PDF, and that include all your capital assets and debt, including your pension liabilities. Total assets at the end of June 2021 were $78.8 million. Total liabilities are $104 million. Your decrease in net position for that year was $1.4 million. Your fund financial statements are starting on page 7. These do not include the capital assets or the long-term liabilities. They report the activities by fund, so that's typically what you will see on your regular monthly financials. The net increase in all governmental funds for the year was $4,075,000. This also reports on page 9 that you paid off principal of $2.7 million, interest of $990,000, and you had capital outlay of $2.7 million. Several notes are included in the report, of course, so going all the way back to page 44, you'll see your general fund budget comparison. You are actually over budget by $2.1 million, basically for federal funds that were not budgeted. You are also over budget on expenditures by $1.6 million for spending those same federal funds. You'll get the full detail of the federal funds on page 47 of the report. And then page 49 starts with our required letters on internal control, compliance, and going back to starting on page 54 is our findings. So on page 54, our findings start with a couple of things we typically report in all our audits for limited segregation of duties just due to a smaller staff, preparation of financial statements because we do prepare the financial statements and notes as part of the audit, so we're required to report that. We have several journal entries included. Those have been provided to Ryan, and they are also included in your packet, I believe. Basically, just journal entries, a lot of activity with changing financial software. Beginning of this fiscal year caused some difficulties. Bank reconciliations and financial records we bring up just due to issues with the software transitioning, making sure that going forward, we get bank reconciliations done timely, and I think that's getting on track now for June 2022, so we should be on track for June 2023. And then the final finding report for current year is timing of the federal compliance report to the feds. That was, of course, due prior to this, so we will get that filed as soon as this audit is approved, and then that will be on track to start off with next year. So all of those findings are included for the current year. Some are repeated of the prior year. One finding from the prior year that was corrected was last year a program was missed on the schedule of federal awards provided to us, so this year we didn't have that issue. So that is the highlights in very short form of the audit report. Do you have any questions I can answer for you?
Go ahead, Rick.
Just a quick question, I guess, that prior period adjustment, that reclassification of funds.
That-
what was that?
That was due to implementing a new government GASB standard, fiduciary activities. So now the student activities actually gets included in your financial statements. So that brought that over, and it gets included in the government-wide statements as well.
So that's all the student activity accounts are included now?
Yes, yep.
Okay.
They no longer consider that an agency fund like it has been for forever, basically.
All right.
So that's now considered part of the audit funds that go on that government-wide and governmental statements.
There's two audit findings on here that we're going to have all the time, no matter what, unless we really change something, and that's segregation of duties and preparation of financial statements, right?
Yes.
I mean, just because there's no way around those without hiring a lot of additional staff.
Right, yep. And the big thing on segregation of duties is having access. You do a good job splitting things out, but still people do have access in the background, and that's really hard to get away from.
Yeah, which, so board, I mean, it really does put a little bit impetus on us when we get the financial statements to review them, because that is really a little bit of a mitigating control, I would consider, right?
Yes,
You know, so I mean, when you do look at them, you do have questions. I mean, they need to be asked, so just to make sure they got everything covered there.
right.
Anything else on here that anybody wants to ask? Go ahead.
I have a question in general about the audit. I received an email. I don't know how many of the school board members got an email from a member of the audit staff to ask about.
No?
Is it a random person that's selected?
Yes, we typically try and select one or two board members
Okay.
and various members of the staff
Right.
to get asked about potential
Okay.
for fraud.
Because I don't remember if I had been asked before, but I think they're great questions. It's just for most of them, I honestly had no reference point whatsoever. And so I think it would be helpful as a part of a presentation maybe we do at one of our summer meetings is to review some of the things that they ask us about. So for example, you know, do I have any knowledge of fraud? Well, no, I don't. I would have spoken up. So that's an obvious one. But, you know, what are the specific fraud risks that we might have? Or what are the programs and controls we have established to mitigate those risks? I think that's a process like, okay, we realize we've got not enough people to mitigate some of those, but what are some background processes just for you to educate?
We
us?
could do something at a retreat in August, yeah.
Yeah, so that when the next time one of us gets the email, we've been, at least had a discussion and have an opportunity to ask questions. So it's a good way to ensure not just board trust, but public trust as well, when there are so many millions of dollars that we're working with and we're reviewing pages upon pages upon pages of statements and payouts, and it just let's educate us and then the public in that process.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none. Thank
All
you
right.
very much. We appreciate it. You
Thank
go
you
have
very
a nice evening. It's beautiful
You too.
outside.
Thank you.
All right, can we get a motion to accept the audit report?
So moved.
All right, Ms. Gazette has moved. We have a second?
Second.
Mr. Horn has seconded. Any further discussion? If not, Ms. Ova, please call roll.
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you very much, and Mr. Legacy, thank you very much for all the work you do and your staff. I know as the audits go through, it takes time, so thank you very much with that. All right, we'll move back. We'll go back up to the top then to the administrator's report. The first item on that administrator's report is a legislative update. Dr. Bitts?
Yeah, thank you. I have a handout in front of you. I think I have 6 bills on there that I'd like to visit about. Senate Bill 2284 was the big funding bill. Actually, it turned out pretty nice for us. They increased the per pupil payment by 4% in each of the two first, or in each of the next 2 years. Right now, we get 10,237, and that's going to rise to 10,646 and 11,072. So that'll be our per pupil payment. In addition, DPI, or the state doesn't want us to have incentive to identify students as special ed. In other words, if we identify a student as needing speech services or LD or ID or ED or any of the special education categories, we don't get extra money. They say that special education services occur the same way throughout the state. So they give us a factor on the per pupil payment, and that factor is 0.082. They raised that to 0.088. So but that increase in the factor of 0.006 is going to be worth about $250,000 a year to us. So that's kind of a nice add-on. We certainly spend well over that in special ed, but it's nice to see that acknowledged and nice to see them give that to us. One of the other things they did is, you remember we applied for a state school construction loan. We got $10 million at 2%. For large schools, they increased that to you can apply for up to $30 million. And there are, I believe, 2 schools in the state, Mandan and Minot, that haven't used all their bonding authority yet. And since we haven't, they'll be an August 1st date. We'll be able to apply for another $20 million to get us to that $30 million at 2%. Doing that, if we sold our bonds in the open market, we'd probably be close to 4%. Saving 2% on $20 million will save us $400,000 a year. So that was a really nice. That's going to be nice for our taxpayers to not have to pay that.
Yeah, and that's important because that change and that availability of fund, even though it's still a loan, saves us money, which saves us on mill levy money, and that really saves every citizen in Mandan money through this process. So kudos to the legislators for doing that because it will make a difference for us in regard to that. That and a few other changes they've made. So.
And I've got one coming up a
Go
little
ahead,
later
yep.
on. But the second bill I want to talk about is 1019, and that includes funding for new and expanding CTE programs. With our new CT center opening, Dr. Fosnatz, a little later on the agenda, is going to talk to you. That additional money is going to be very helpful. They're going to raise the reimbursement rates. Right now, we get reimbursed 27% or less for all of our programs. With this new funding, it's going to be anywhere from 40% to 75%. So that's going to be additional dollars for us. And I won't take away your thunder. I'll let you share that a little later. House Bill 1532 was the voucher bill. That was vetoed by the governor, passed both the House and Senate, vetoed by the governor, and then it was sustained by the House. So House Bill 1398 is a bill we haven't talked about before, but it requires us to integrate cybersecurity standards into our existing curriculum, K through 12. If it's not integrated, we have to have a cybersecurity course that's required for graduation by 2026. So that's something that we need to. We do a lot of things with cybersecurity, but we're going to have to come up with a plan, have you guys approve it, and report it back to DPI. So that'll be coming over the next year or so. Senate Bill 2260 was the Parents' Bill of Rights. It was, you almost feel bad saying that you aren't for parent rights. We are for parents' rights, but it was a real burdensome bill for our teachers. That passed the Senate. It failed in the House. And a new parents' rights bill, House Bill 1362, was passed that we have no problem with. So that turned out well for us as well. House Bill 1158 was the big tax bill. This bill is passed, includes a $500 tax credit for the primary residence in year 2. So all of us are going to get a $500. We have to do paperwork. You have to fill out a form. But if you do that, you'll get $500 forgiven on on your property tax for your primary residence. It includes a homestead tax credit for those over 65. So that's going to be nice for a lot of our residents on fixed incomes. And it has an income tax reduction. We go down from 5 income tax rates to 3. And then finally, there was a lot of talk about reducing our local contribution from 60 mills down to 40 mills. We are still at 60 mills, so we'll still have to levy 60 mills in the general fund. And then last bill I want to talk about is Senate Bill 2015, which is the Office of Management and Budget Bill. It's the last bill that's passed every year, and it includes dozens of amendments and add-ons. And I think I'm late when I say dozens. But 2 of the add-ons are very beneficial to Mandan schools. First, dollars were added in the CT grant. We got that $10 million grant last year. We share it with Heart River. I think our share was about $8.5 million. They have an inflationary figure tied to it. They have anywhere from 26 to 33 million, depending upon what's available. So for sure 26, hopefully up to 33 million. And we can, if we can show that our costs came in higher than we projected, which we can, my hope is we can get another 2 million or so for our school. So that would be really nice. And then finally, we talked about the $20 million in low interest loans we can get on the first bill in 2284. This bill included the Coal Development Trust Fund has some money that's not part of the general fund, that's not being used, that's able to be used for construction, and they made that available to us as well. And we're going to be able to apply for $5 million at 2%, which will save us $100,000 in interest the first year alone. I want to thank Representative Porter, Representative Lauser from Minot. They were instrumental in getting this passed. So all in all, it turned out to be a really good session for us, and I can answer any questions that you have on these or any other bills.
Yep. Any questions? I will say, you know, if you get a chance, go back and listen to some of the testimony on 2284, because there was some conversations on there about money that they put in there and things they want to do, like dyslexia. I mean, and they want that money to go for that and somebody to get trained.
Yeah.
You know, the increase in the special ed, they want that to go to special ed. I mean, they were pretty particular about making sure some things actually get done on some of those things. So as we go through it, we'll do that. I mean, we're usually pretty good about following through with what they want.
Yep.
So, but they were good about changing some of them. So, and on that OMB bill, just to give you an idea, I heard there was over 100 amendments drafted. They talked about 50 of them, and I think they approved somewhere around 30.
Yeah.
So it's called the Christmas tree bill for a reason, because they put everything on there and they fixed things that were conflicting in different bills as they go through it. So I sat through a lot of that on Saturday last week and went for a long time. It was good. Also, I want to say thank you to all you guys sitting around that table over there. You spend a lot of time at the legislature working to get these things done for the benefit of our students, our citizens of Mandan. So thank you all very much for the work you've done over there, because you can see, I mean, we had some wins that'll definitely help us out as we go forward, and will save the taxpayers in our city some money. So thank you. And also, it should increase our services that we're providing out there. So thank you for doing all that. And our legislators too for listening. So. All right, anything else for him? Go
I have
ahead.
a question with the free school lunches. So 200% of the federal poverty level for a family of four is about 60,000. What was it at previously? What was?
Yeah, basically, the poverty rate gets adjusted each year. We
Sure.
don't have the numbers for next year, but so they're going off this year. Right now, if you're 130% of the federal
Okay.
poverty level or less, you get free lunches. If you're between 130% and 185%, you get reduced lunches.
Okay.
So basically, everybody free and reduced this year will be free next year, plus another 15% of the poverty level.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
and we just got our numbers from Mrs. Heiner today. This year, we've been running 32, I think our highest month was 33% free and reduced, but anywhere from 31 to 33%.
Is that back to where we were pre-COVID? Because during the COVID
Yeah,
time, we
it-
had free
it
lunch
is.
for everyone.
It-
So
it-
we've
yes.
normalized and,
Yes, we
Okay.
started to return, you know, when people didn't have to fill it out, they weren't filling it out. So now when there's a benefit to them to fill it out, they'll complete the paperwork.
Which is good, because that also helps us with Title I, right?
Absolutely, our Title I funding is based on our free and reduced lunch count.
Any other questions on that? Thank you. If not, we'll move on to the next one, the Title VI tribal input from Standing Rock.
It does.
Dr. Foshnot.
We're just giving each other heck. So, thank you, Board. Good afternoon, good evening. Yeah, I would just like to report on a couple things there. Dr. Rederath, myself, and Mr. Elbers had the opportunity to go down to Standing Rock last week, Thursday, to present our Title VI plan. Actually, I introduced Dr. Rederath, and then I just was quiet as she did all the great work. And Mr. Albers is a wonderful liaison for us for the Native American community. We took questions for about 10, 15 minutes, and then they approved our plan going forward for the next steps. So we just wanted to report that we did have an opportunity to meet with them, hear their concerns, field some questions to help make our plan and our services for Native American students better. So we'll provide you some more information as we get closer with our plan and get it refined, but we'll share that with you again. We also wanted to share with you, Dr. Bitts mentioned, I think, right before the meeting, that all of you should have received an invitation to the Native American honoring ceremony that will take place on May 27th. That's Saturday, 10 a.m. at Legacy High School. That will be an opportunity for us to honor those graduates that are nearing getting their diploma on Sunday. And we are anticipating around 19 students that should be hopefully graduating this year, and we get to celebrate that accomplishment with them. So you're definitely invited.
Any questions, comments? If not, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. And the only item on the consent agenda tonight is review and approve previous board minutes from April 17th, 2023. What's the board's wishes on that one?
I'd move to accept the consent agenda.
All right, we have a motion for Mr. Peters. We have a second.
Second.
We have a second for Mr. Haugen. Ms. Oval, please call roll.
Yes.
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 Yes. Next item on the agenda is unfinished business. We have no unfinished business, so we'll just keep moving down the road. We'll move into new business. Item A is already done with the audit report, so the second item, B, is review and consider approval of the Heart River CTE plan. Dr. Fauschnot.
So I'm going to try to make what could be a very confusing topic as simple as possible. Your representatives, Mr. Peters, Ms. Kazed, will be meeting on Wednesday with the Heart River CTE board. And we're meeting because now, after some discussions with Director Sick, who is the director for Career and Tech Ed in North Dakota, and the finalization of the legislative items, like Dr. Bitts said, we now know what the money is, and we kind of know what their plan is within CTE to fund these centers, which includes the Heart River Center. We've been waiting for this for about a year for what they call new and expanding funds. So the new and expanding funds did receive enough financial support from the legislature that we're feeling very confident that we can now begin to make a recommendation to the board to hire a director, to get some staff, and to begin that conversion of programming from school-based, high school-based programming to center-based programming. What I prepared for you in your packet simplistically is once you make that conversion, and that's for Mandan or the example I shared with you in New Salem, and I can help explain that just briefly, is that each of our schools that are in the center should be seeing a fiscal positive impact of making that conversion, even if we were to spend some additional dollars for some very basic director or center staff. And that would be a director, a secretary / business official, or even a counselor. And we haven't determined that yet because it's the board's decision to make on Wednesday or in the future. But what I shared with you in your packet is kind of a comparison of what using New Salem's number, and again, that's preparing for Wednesday's meeting for kind of our Class B representatives, to say they could go from receiving a reimbursement of around $18,000 for their ag program. If they were in a center-based program, that could increase to $36,000. So that's a considered financial win for New Salem. And if we would, as Dr. Bitts alluded, if it was a new program, or they've talked about 75% reimbursement, well, obviously that's even a better financial win for us. I also provided you kind of a breakdown of what a director and a business official could cost each of the member schools based on our grant and how we are going to divide costs for each of the member schools. And again, using the example of New Salem, and I hate to pick on New Salem, but we are talking about them having to pay $10,000 to get a director. They could save $17,000 just in their ag program. Again, fiscally, financially, that's a financial win for New Salem. They could get more benefits. What I'm saying to you, and what I'll say to the board on Wednesday, is you're going to also see that in Mandan Public School. You're going to get some extra benefits with the director and some additional programming, and also the benefit financially as we work forward towards moving our programs from school-based to center-based. That's a lot of stuff in there. I'm trying to be as simple as possible, but we'll be meeting Wednesday with your two representatives here and a representative from each of the member schools. And we'll just be talking through these issues. Does the board want to move forward? Does the Heart River CT board want to move forward with this and begin that process of converting those? As we know we got the money, now we got to wait to see how CT is going to distribute that with the schools.
Questions for anybody? It says consider approval, but you're not looking for approval tonight. You're just-
I'm not really not, sorry. I just want to know that maybe your representatives on the board feel confident enough that we're moving forward, they can come back to you with a plan.
Yep.
I think that would be a good recommendation, is for them to come back to you, knowing that the Heart River Board might say, move forward, and then they can bring that plan back to you.
Yeah, we meet in 2 weeks anyway,
Yeah,
so.
yep.
Anything else on that they want to bring up? So you two will represent us well this week. I'm looking forward to it. I see our school going up, our CTE center starting to grow, and I
Yep.
happened to be in New Salem today and drove by theirs up there, and it's looking good. So, there are some things happening that has to do with this CTE center. It's great. I think it's wonderful. So, yep.
It's wonderful to see that. And the director not only has some jobs to get the new center financially, the business operations off, but we also know there's great benefit of building that partnership with all the different ag programs or FACTS programs across our new unit, which is great, but also to build those business partnerships. And we really need someone who wakes up every day and that's their focus, is to build those business partnerships.
Yep.
So.
Dr. Betts?
I just wanted to say that there's one hole in our area too. Hazen has not been part of it. And they are going to come to the table on Wednesday night, and we're hoping they'll join with us. We just think that makes the Heart River CT Center better.
Oh,
So,
good.
we're
Welcome
hoping
if they
to-
do.
Yeah.
All right, anything else? All right, then we'll move on to the next item, review and consider approval of the following 23-24 teaching contracts. Stephanie Wages, grade 4 at Fort Lincoln, and Lindsay Sherrato, SLP at Fort Lincoln.
And we're recommending approval.
You recommend approval? Okay, what are the board's wishes?
Move to approve the teaching contracts?
All right, we have a motion from Mr. Peters. We have a second.
Second.
We have a second from Ms. Gazette. Any further discussion? If not, Ms. Ova, please call roll.
Yes.
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 Yes. Welcome Stephanie and Lindsay to the Mandan family. Glad to have you on board. Next item is review and consider approval of the following licensed letter of resignation. J.C. Hendrickson, grade 3 at Roosevelt, Miranda Lohman, math at Mandan High School, and Rebecca Helbling, social study at Mandan Middle School. I know we could probably go through and approve these, but I do have a question on how many openings we have left yet to fill. I know I see one on Facebook for a math teacher.
I think we have English, I think we have Spanish, and then we're looking for a counselor out of Fort Lincoln, so. And Ms. Helbling's up at the middle school, her social studies.
All right. Well, if anybody's looking for a job, please apply.
Yes.
All right. Any questions on this one, or what are the board's wishes?
I'll move to approve the resignation of Hendrickson, Lohman, and Helbling, and to thank them for their time with the Mandan Public School District.
Thank you. We have a motion by Ms. Cassett. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Haugen. Any further discussions, questions? If not, Ms. Oval, please call roll.
Yes.
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 Yes. I'm going to skip over E and new business, and I'm going to read the future meeting dates, and I'm going to come back to E because we're going to go into executive session. But future meeting dates, May 2nd, teacher negotiations, 4:30 p.m. at the Brave Center. That'll be tomorrow night. May 3rd, Heart River CTE, 6:30 on Zoom. May 8th, teacher negotiations, 4:30 at the Brave Center. May 10th, retirement and recognition banquet, 6 p.m. at the Baymont. If you haven't let Ms. Ova know, please do that, or is it too late?
No, everybody did.
Okay, thank you. May 15th, school board meeting, 5:30 at City Hall. May 16th, teacher negotiations, 4:30 p.m. at the Brave Center. May 23rd, teacher negotiations, 4:30 p.m. at the Brave Center. May 28th, graduation, 2 o'clock at the Starion Sports Complex. Can't believe that's coming already. And May 27th, the NA honoring ceremony, which is the one we talked about a little bit earlier. That's at 10 a.m. at the Legacy High School. Any other meeting dates that the board should be aware of? There's a lot of them on here in the last couple of months here. If not, let's go back to new business. Item E, consider a motion to move into executive session to discuss strategic negotiation strategy in accordance with North Dakota Century Code 44-04-19.1, subs 9. Prior to the session on this item may be discussed in executive session, and it's really for negotiation strategy. The executive session will be recorded. All members of the board are reminded to limit their discussion during the executive sessions to the announced topic. Any collective decision, collective commitment, or other final action by the board must occur after it reconvenes in its open meeting, unless final action is specifically required by law to be taken during the executive session. The prohibition on taking final action during the executive session does not apply to providing guidance or instructions to our attorney and negotiators. We anticipate at this time a motion will be in order to discuss that, and it'll take about 30 minutes. So could I get a motion for that?
I would move that we move to executive session.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Mr. Horn. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Sobel, please call roll.
Yes.
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 Yes. So the board and the individuals from the school or administration is going to go into the back room. We come out. If there's any motions we need to make, we'll make them. If not, we will just gavel out. So thank you, everybody.